Thanks so much for joining us. Let me just launch into the interview itself. Thanks for taking time. Congressman, you endorsed Donald Trump. You did say before the endorsement that he should stop saying quote unquote thuggish things, but it was an endorsement and you stood behind the nominee. Do you think that will pay dividends as you go forward in what you want to accomplish for this district?
Well, I think it's important that we work together, and I know that probably after the election, half of the country was ecstatic and the other half of the country was very depressed, and we're still seeing some of that with people marching in the streets. So I think it's really important that we unify this country and we pull together because divided we're clearly going to fail, and that's not in anybody's best interest. So I hope that the Congress is going to work with the new Trump administration, and I'm certainly committed to that.
Understood and well said, but you also have things that you need to accomplish as a congressman for this district. Are you going to make sure that Donald Trump and this administration knows that you backed him, and will that equate to something of traction as you go forward to accomplish what you need to?
Well, I hope so, and I did endorse Mr. Trump, and I know they're aware of that. Hopefully that'll work to the benefit of our district, but I would also urge them to work with people that even didn't support the election, and that's about half the country. We really do need to work together. Some of the issues, for example, that we need to work on are basically overhauling the tax code, making it a lot simpler and making it work so we can grow this economy. I happen to be the chairman of the House Small Business Committee, and 70% of the new jobs nowadays created in the economy are created by small business. So we have to get the regulations off their back and get access to capital so they can actually start businesses and grow businesses and create more jobs in the greater Cincinnati area, but all over the country.
Well, that should play well with the Trump agenda as well. I mean, it interlocks there. The question is obviously about the overall landscape of Washington. Arguably, that led and propelled Mr. Trump to the presidency itself. Does a Republican majority in Congress and a Republican president now mean the end of gridlock in D.C.?
I'd probably be overly optimistic to say it ends the gridlock. Hopefully it will move in the right direction and we can actually get some things done. I think that's what the American people, at least many of them, were saying on election day, is that they are tired of gridlock. They're tired of excuses. They actually want to move this country forward. And so it's important that the President and the Congress, the elected representatives of the American people, work together. It's helpful that our Speaker, Paul Ryan, pulled together with the help of a lot of members of Congress, including myself, an agenda called A Better Way. So we actually have a guideline, an outline that we're going to work with the President on to put into effect, which will hopefully help to get the economy moving again, get people back to work, get rid of Obamacare, which unfortunately has been like a wet blanket over the economy. It doesn't mean that we have to get rid of every single thing that was in there, and the President has said he supports a couple of things. I do too. Allowing children to stay on their parents' health care until age 26, doing something about pre-existing conditions so that you can keep your health care, those types of things. But to get any of these things done, we really do have to work together, and I would urge my Democratic colleagues to work with Republicans. I think we ought to reach out to them. And I know the President, he's not an ideologue. He's not somebody who says it has to be done this way, and I feel so strongly about this one issue and it has to be done exactly my way. I think he's willing to work with us, and I think we need to be willing, both Democrats and Republicans, to work with him too, for the benefit of the whole country.
Let me touch upon the Obamacare. A lot has been made in national media about this proposition that you can repeal Obamacare and replace it and the nuance of all of that. But the key seems to be whether you can do that at the same time. Many pundits say it's impossible for a slow-moving Congress in debating these matters to repeal one thing and immediately replace it. Will there be a gap?
It's going to be a challenge, there's no question about it, but a commitment was made to repeal and replace. The replace is an important part, Obamacare. And again, there are a couple of things in there which we like, and we ought to keep those things. But to basically break the promise to the American people that they can keep their doctors, or tell them that their health care costs were going to go down when they went up, and it's been very disastrous to human beings all over the country as well as to the economy. So it's something that I feel very confident that the new Trump administration is going to keep their commitment to repealing and replacing, and he now has a Congress that will work with him to do that, and do that in a smart way and a humanitarian way, something that actually works.
Well, with that in mind, the American people, as you know, are growing impatient with all of this, and a lot of big promises have been made, not just with Obamacare, but immigration. We're also looking at the issue of the trade deals. All of that is an expectation that it will be dealt with. Will it be dealt with immediately? The reason I ask, that's a lot for a Congress in the opening days here.
It is, and we're not even actually in the opening days yet, because the new Congress won't be sworn in until January, and Donald Trump, of course, won't be sworn in as president until January. So this right now is all preparation for getting, hitting the ground running, as they say, in January, and I think we can do that. But immigration, you mentioned, that's a big issue. He made a real commitment about building a wall, and some people have said, well, now he's saying some of it might be fencing. I think we've always known that you've got a border there that's about 2,000 miles long. We actually already have a wall or fence on about 580 miles of that, so that leaves about 1,400 miles we have to deal with. Some of that will be a wall. He says it'll be a wonderful wall, a great wall, and I think hopefully some of it will be. Some of it will be fencing, but we have to do it in a common sense way, and I think we'll do that. I hope our Democratic colleagues will work with us on that.
There are reports of infighting, and then obviously from the Trump camp diminishing those reports, saying it's part of the transition. Are you concerned about this transition to the next presidency, especially because this is an individual, Mr. Trump, who has never held elected office, and he's learning as he goes? Are you worried that the transition might be a little bit rocky here?
You know, every transition that I've seen in my life, and certainly experienced here in Congress at the presidential level, and I've seen a number of them, have always been at some point considered to be in chaos or in turmoil or other similar terms. I think that's kind of natural. People that aren't necessarily going to get what they want are the first people that are going to spread stories that it was a chaotic process. I think we need to give the president-elect and his team some time. And I think that Mike Pence in particular, it was a great choice. I actually served in Congress with Mike and know him very well. He's going to be our new vice president. And I think our president-elect, Mr. Trump, showed great judgment in appointing Mike Pence to head that up. He also chose somebody at the local level in Ken Blackwell, who's a former mayor of Cincinnati, who I worked with as a member of city council there, and have talked to Ken about this transition as well. And I think he was a great choice. He's going to be handling the domestic part of the transition. So I think President-elect Trump has a very good team. Sometimes it's going to, look a little unsettled, but that's natural. And let's give him some time.
Have you had any direct talks with anyone in the inner circle of Mr. Trump or with Mr. Trump himself?
I have, but I don't want to disclose any of those things right now, because you don't want to jeopardize any of the things that we may be working on, or any of the people who may be in key positions at some point.
So it's fair to say that they definitely know who Steve Chabot is.
Well, I can't guarantee you who knows what, but I feel confident that that's the case. I happen to also have been, there were 7 of the 20 chairmen of the committees in Congress who endorsed at an early stage candidate Donald Trump, and I was one of the 7. So we've been in communication at various times during the course of the campaign.
We only have a limited amount of time, and I want to ask you finally about you as you move forward. What is your number one priority as you move forward in the upcoming Congress, sir?
Well, as chairman of the House Small Business Committee, my number one concern is getting this economy moving again and getting as many Americans as possible back to work. And since 70% of the new jobs created in the American economy nowadays are small businesses, we need to help them. You do that by reducing regulations, simplifying their taxes, and making sure that they have access to capital so they have the money to start a new business or to grow and create new jobs. So that'll be my principal focus. I'm also on the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Judiciary Committee, so I have interest really worldwide when it comes to foreign affairs matters. I chaired the Middle East Committee, I chaired the Asian Committee, and I'm a very active member on the Judiciary Committee as well. So I'm going to have my a lot of different things to be working on. I'll be pretty busy over at least the next 2 years, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. How would you best describe as you move forward? Are you excited by the prospects of what can be accomplished in this Congress now?
I am excited. I was in the category of the folks that were very happy about the election results, but I'm very mindful that a lot of people felt very differently about it and still do. So as a nation, I feel it's my obligation to try to work with both sides, both those that are very happy and those that are very concerned, and to address the concerns of those people that really were very unhappy about this election result. I don't think this is a time to be gloating or spiking the ball in the end zone. I think we need to work together as Americans.
Congressman, we appreciate your time. We wish you well in the future, and obviously we'll be back in touch with you as we go along here.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.